Hey, hey, it's the hardest part of the ring. It's the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope, crispy wine. You bang your head on the ring apron. That's when you feel like a big dope, 'cause they're the worst bumps you can be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, it's the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for the hot tag, Boba Hicks, and you go ahead and make your own comeback. Why do you do that? That's when you should quit wrestling, and you're better off rolling thumbtacks. It's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, it's the hardest part of the ring. This one's for me. Sometimes you're distracting the referee and the babyface has your wrestler pinned. Then you get punched in a ring apron, and you realize all the trouble you're in when it's the hardest part of the ring. Hey, the hardest part of the ring. Now double claps. Here we go, Bob Squad. Double clapping it up. First hardest part of the ring recorded on this new computer. I have no idea if it's using my microphone or the laptop's. There's no way of knowing, but we're gonna roll with it because it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba da ba da. Whoa! Yay! What is going on, Bob Squad? We are bushwhacking our way through the first episode of the hardest part of the ring on the new computer. Everything seems to be going swimmingly. We'll see how the rest of it goes. Oh, what's the skinny? What's the deep dish? What's the scuttlebutt? You hear the rumors you're being hoodwinked, flim-flam, shim-shammed, and bamboozled, you crazy cats. Of course you are. What are we talking about? We were talking about the Hulu edition of WWE Monday Night Raw on the hardest part of the ring. There's going to be spots that I missed if you're new to the program. There's going to be matches I don't bring up, segments that it seems like I overlooked, but I promise you I did not. They did not make the special 90-minute action-packed version of WWE Raw on Hulu, Hulu.com. It's TV in the palm of your hands. Oh my goodness. Let's talk about this Raw. Huh? Now, I have it on good authority. Vince McMahon was not physically at this Raw. I maybe should not have said that. Oh well. Who's listening? Don't tell anybody I said that. Okay, so we open with Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, which is good. I was wondering how that turned out. And then we have a picture of the entire roster. They show you the 86 wrestlers who are now on Monday Night Raw, and only 12 of them you will see, and the other 74 are going to be in catering forever. So what was the point of showing me that? And we start with Big E in Houston. They are in Houston, Texas. It's actually America's fattest country, America's fattest city. Did you know that? Houston, Texas is America's fattest city. You can look that up. So, little trivia for you. Um, place was full. There were only like 100 people in the arena. It was still full. Okay, that's not true. Bob, stop it. Stop it, Bob. Stop it. Grow up. You're being an ass on your wrestling podcast, okay? Grow up. And Big E. See, this was fun. Big E mentioned the champion. He mentions a bunch of local stuff about the city of Houston, Texas, that I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. But the people had so much fun with it, and the live audience reacted so positively that it didn't matter if anyone who's not familiar with Houston has no idea what the hell he's talking about. Because the people went so bananas that it came across on television. And we need more of that. They've decided, unless they're at Madison Square Garden or Barclays in Brooklyn or maybe Los Angeles or wherever, Chicago, Boston, they've had this habit in the last couple of decades of never mentioning what city they're in. So if they're in Charlotte, North Carolina, they might mention it. If they're in Raleigh, North Carolina, because they don't want to seem small town. But it also is impersonal. You understand? It's very impersonal, and they're just at some place. As far as the television viewer is concerned, then it doesn't matter. Big E made it matter, and the people responded wonderfully. Um, and he looked promo wise. This is the most he's looked like a champion since he won the thing. Match-wise, it would be his match with Drew McIntyre in Saudi Arabia last week, which doesn't count. Okay. So Big E is who's going to be my challenger, and Seth Rollins, who is new from SmackDown, he comes out. He is I don't know what his gimmick is. Is he just doing because they're married? Is he just doing the Becky Lynch gimmick badly? I don't understand who he is. Rey Mysterio comes out and says "eye to an eye," referencing their 8-year-long feud where Seth Rollins had to pretend to pull an eyeball out of Rey Mysterio's head, and Rey's eye is perfectly fine now. But I'm surprised he brought it up. I'm kind of glad he did. Finn Balor then interrupts and he goes, "I'm Irish and good looking and I got abs." And KO, Kevin Owens from Montreal, Quebec, he shows up. Is he from? No, he's not from Montreal. He's French Canadian, so no, he might be from Montreal. Who the hell knows? Americans have no idea. Even if the country's right next to us, we have no fucking idea. Honestly, Hawaii, that's ours. We don't fucking know. Puerto Rico, that's ours. We don't know. Alaska, we forget it's there. So Kevin Owens, who does not have abs like Finn Balor, and Finn Balor, Rey Mysterio, and Seth Rollins, the four of them all want to be the challenger. Sonya Deville comes out and she says, "I wear suits, and the four of you are going to fight in the main event in a four-way ladder match, and the winner gets a contract to wrestle Big E for the WWE Championship." They never said if this has Money in the Bank rules where they could cash it in whenever, or it has to they have to pick a date or something. But I hope they just have to literally pick a date so it's not just another Money in the Bank. Because it's kind of silly to beat the guy who won it that way in the exact same way. Yeah, they don't care. The Street Profits are dancing and wearing green, and they wrestle the Dirty Dogs and the Alpha Academy, which is Chad Gable and Otis. He's the big guy from SmackDown who looks like Ram Man. He could play Ram Man in a feature film, I think. He's so short and so thick, it's absurd. Anyway, the three of them fight, and Omos, who's very tall, comes out and he beats everyone up. And the Dirty Dogs take the victory because the winner of this three-way thing, hey, didn't we just announce a four-way thing to be it for a number one contender thing? And we go straight to a three-way thing for another number one contender thing. Does anyone? No. Same show, same segment all the time. Anyway, the Dirty Dogs are the only heels in the group. So naturally, they win and they get to wrestle RK Bro for the championships whenever the fuck. I don't know. Wait, does that happen in the same show? I think it does. I think it happens in the same show. I didn't realize that I saw the dogs wrestle twice. Okie dokie. Zelina Vega, who is the new queen. Never mind that Charlotte Flair is the queen. Zelina has her coronation segment. You know they're gonna do these. They did something for Woods on SmackDown. I don't know exactly what. I should look it up. Zelina Vega, what struck me most about this, I mean, she's coming out and saying, "I'm the new queen," and she's saying all the boring shit somebody wrote down. Say all the generic shit. Queen, royalty, peasants, crown, blue blood in the veins, all this horse shit. And that's why it seems like Woods was perfect to win the King of the Ring as he wanted to when your gimmick becomes you can't just be the king or queen and then reference it, but then continue being yourself. You have to literally be a king or queen. Guys, we beat the British 245 years ago, I think. It's over. We won. Unless you're talking about the War of 1812 where they burned down the White House. We never bring that up, though. They don't teach us all that in school. A lot of history in the hardest part of the ring today. And Corey Graves mentions Zelina Vega is the first queen, not mentioning Charlotte or sensational Queen Sherry. I can forgive the Sherry snub, unfortunately, because I'm old and I get it. No one cares what I liked. But Charlotte has literally been the queen on your show for the past 5 years and still going. So I thought that was worth. Anyway, here's what stood out the most. Zelina Vega, who is from Queens, New York, where I lived for 8 years. of Latina descent. I don't know exactly. I think which country or nation she her family originates from. I really honestly don't know. Um, I want to say Puerto Rican only because I think I've heard her mention that once, but I hope I'm not wrong. Oh, you don't have to be that careful, Bob. No one cares. No one's listening. Anyway, Zelina Vega, who is not British, goes in and out of a British accent so badly, and that kills me. It breaks my heart because she's a good promo. And I don't know if they told her to do that or if she was trying to hold it and just couldn't because she's not fucking British. Forgive me. The woman's not British. But she's interrupted by the person she beat for the crown, who's actually fucking British, and talks without a British accent now because she's on Raw where everything has to be sterile and generic and Americanized. The show really has to be the Walmart of wrestling. Anyway, Dewdrop interrupts. They have a match. Zelina does a distraction where she takes off the turnbuckle pad. I'm not going to do the star ratings today, guys. Um, I'll be honest with you, a little behind the curtain. Sometimes I just pull those out of my ass. Zelina Vega takes off the turnbuckle, throws it away, which distracts the referee in time for Zelina to take the scepter and knock Dewdrop out with it. This was very good for a heel distracting, cheating finish, except for the fact that it took the referee 8 days to kick a turnbuckle pad out of the ring. Took a little long. Becky Lynch, who's doing Seth Rollins' gimmick well, is the Raw Women's Champion, and she's coming out and she's doing tremendous. I love this segment. This is so much better than so many of the recent Women's Champion segments, and I think it went better than the big, somewhat real confrontational disaster on SmackDown. Becky is telling everyone what she's the greatest and they're loving her, but she's not kissing up to them and being a babyface. She's staying a heel, but soaking in the adulation. But she's not. So she's being a sore winner, which is good. So she's staying a heel without telling them to completely piss off because listen, she's going to be a babyface in no time. Okay, because eventually they can't help themselves, despite the fact that these two women clearly hate each other. They're doing. They're going to do Charlotte and Becky at Mania for fuck's sake. We know they are. They can't help themselves. All right. Okay. Now what? Oh, Bianca Blair interrupts, and this was the. Even though Bianca Eastern Standard Time said on Bianca EST Eastern Standard Time 48 times, more so than recently, she had real fire and sounded actually pissed off at Becky. And then they had some physicality, and Bianca laid into kicks and laid into punches and forearms or whatever. And Becky fought back and she laid in her shit. And Bianca threw Becky around over the table, didn't put her through it. And they got a kendo stick out of nowhere. They didn't need it, but whatever. So Bianca laid out Becky with the stick, and Becky somehow gets a hold of it. Becky got a shot or two in, and Bianca goes to hit her finish on Becky. The announcers failed to call this. Becky got out of it by raking the eyes, grabbing her title belt, and getting the hell out of Dodge. So she did fight back because she is tough, but she's not as brave as the babyface. She won't fight all day, and Bianca didn't get her the title match she wanted right then and there. So um, this was good because it made me want to see Becky and Bianca more so than anything else they've done since Becky returned. Now I want to see Becky versus Bianca. Okay, so that was cool. What happened next? RK Bro is backstage. They said dumb things, and then they wrestled the Dirty Dogs, and they defeated the Dirty Dogs. There was an RKO on Robert Roode, who is not officially going by Big Bob. He yelled it once during the match. Again, announcers failed to call it. And I'm not blaming the announcers when I say this. I'm saying the announcers are told to say 88 stupid things, and they can't actually call what's going on. So when the heel needs an eye rake to get out of the finish, we need the announcers to tell the dumb people at home that, by the way, Becky needed an eye rake. She needed to do something that would have been illegal had it been a wrestling match to get out of her situation. So now Joe Dumbass at home thinks, well, okay, I guess Becky can just wiggle out of Bianca's finish, so Bianca must not be that good. No, we needed to hear that. I noticed it because I'm an insane person, but we need to be told this. Uh, what was I complaining about? Yeah. RK Bro. Oh yeah. So Big Bob is not referred to as Big Bob by the announcers. I think I'm over my jealousy. I think he should continue going by Big Bob. I think it should be Dolph Ziggler and Big Bob. It should be the Dirty Dogs. Why not? Because you're gonna remember that. I know from first-hand experience. If you call yourself Bob 90 times in a 20-minute set in front of 200 people, 198 of them are gonna walk out and say, "Good job, Bob." They will. It works. Maybe I don't want him taking the shit. Anyway, let's go to the main event. The four-way ladder match. Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio. Four wrestlers who are new to Raw as of right now. That's a positive. They all worked hard, which is a positive. They're all pros, super positive. And I love this because I can't believe I'm saying this. This four-way ladder thing would have it was very good on TV. It actually I think if it was on a pay-per-view, it would have been less good. Because on a pay-per-view, they would have had even more time to do even more shit that you shouldn't be able to get up from and get up from it. Here, everyone got some big shit in and they took some big shit, but just enough to justify why they've lost the match. Except for the one guy, the four, who won the match. And even though there's no rules, the only heel in a match, and that's why right away I was like, oh boy, you got three heels and three baby faces and one heel. How is this working? Um, Actually, it worked out very well because the heel can stay away from danger as much as he possibly can until he turns around and gets caught by the one baby face he wasn't paying attention to. And everybody was awesome in this. And is there anything else I want to bring up? Yes, yes. Big E. Oh, bless his soul. For years, WWE has had the wrestlers standing more and more awkwardly watching a monitor backstage to the point where you're standing next to a TV and cranking your neck at an insane angle so you can get a profile while you watch the freaking, TV. And no one watches a TV that way. And it wasn't so bad when they would do it like the TV's at a 45-degree angle and so is the wrestler. You could kind of fudge it for a two-dimensional television screen. It wasn't nearly as bad. I probably wouldn't even noticed it if they just kept doing it that way. I wouldn't have unless somebody else pointed out. But even then, it's not as noticeable when you do it that way. But with that said, they've gotten absurd to the point where no, it's so obvious. And someone on Twitter, I have no idea who, but some random guy just tweeted with under that picture of Big E purposely watching the TV at an absurd angle. I'm going to use the picture here for YouTube. Somebody just tweeted, "They know we know." And I couldn't have said it better. And Big E, he made his face and he did it. And they only held it for a few seconds because I'm willing to bet, well, that shot would have had to have been live, right? And I'm sure someone said, okay, smartass, just we're not taking that shot anymore. But he's a champion right now, so fuck it. Just, you made your point. Very good. There you go. And I like that Big E's not following all those stupid rules. The same way he acknowledged what city they're actually in, not just by saying the name of the city to get a cheap pop, which they do most of the time. He said stuff about the city. God, it felt like 1999, or no, not even. Fuck that. It felt like 1993. Like, oh, this is the city we're in. Actually, 93 is a bad year to pick too because they were in New York the entire time. But you understand, it felt like what they say at wrestling shows for a heartbeat. Seth Rollins wins this thing, which makes sense. He's the only heel. We need someone to boo against Big E, who's the big babyface. Uh, I think Seth is just the utility guy here, someone to keep E busy. Um, I would imagine they're doing E and Roman at Survivor Series, and another New Day Usos versus Roman a bloodline thing would have to happen. The three bloodline versus the three New Day. I can't imagine that not happening. Why? Except five of the six guys are on SmackDown, so I mean, I'm sure there'll be a random New Day Usos tag or two on SmackDown. Because for the last several years, they've just done a pointless champion versus champion match. It hasn't meant anything. They did last year with Roman and Drew, right? That was last year. It would have had to be. Who was in 2019? I don't remember. But that's when Charlotte had to fight Ronda Rousey because Becky Lynch got punched in the nose by a sloppy Nia Jax. And that was 3 years ago. That was 2018. What the hell happened 2 years ago? I don't know. See, who cares? Uh, I think Bray Wyatt wrestled The Miz and Bray was wearing a sweater. Is that what happened? Or was that the December one? Who the hell knows? Okay, folks. Seth Rollins wins the thing. So this was funny to me because I think the match must have gone short because I looked at my Hulu thing and there were 3 minutes remaining at the bell. Usually when there's a minute and a half, 2 minutes remaining, like oh here comes a little angle. But this was like 3 minutes and change left, and I'm like, oh that's a lot. Especially because why would there be more physicality after this heel won this long like 2 or 3 segment ladder match thing? And I was right. Because they play Big E's music, and Big E and Seth stare at each other and don't seem to really say much on the ramp. And Seth does like a fake handshake and laughs, and Big E was not helped by being forced to come out here. He didn't he looked bad. He looked like he wasn't doing shit about it. But he's in a lose-lose situation because either he doesn't do shit about Seth's mouthing off, or he does beat up Seth, who just had a 20-minute grueling match. So what was the actual point? And then Seth goes backstage and talks to a blonde lady. No one's talked to a blonde lady yet. They probably did several times and I missed it. And Seth cuts a minute promo doing this. I hate his horrible fake laugh, and he keeps doing it. So we're going to hear that for a long, long time on Raw. He just tells her he's Seth freaking Rollins and he's obnoxious and everything else. And then we cut back to Big E standing there, and then they do a couple of graphics of some matches for next week or something. So that was interesting. I think they just ended the damn thing early, but I have no idea because I didn't watch it live if it had that 5 minute runoff because it's actually a 3 hour and 5 minute show. So my question would be if that's the case, and it almost always is, that means with 3 minutes remaining on Hulu, they would have only run over by 2 minutes. Can't they just do a 3 hour and 2 minute show and end it? Or how? What's the timeline on when that Law and Order SVU rerun has to start? I don't understand. Whatever. This was a better Raw than the first in a long time. I'm not going to say it blew my mind. I'm not going to say I didn't take a 2 hour nap in the middle of it. I was tired, guys. I wasn't feeling so hot. I was a little banged up. Um, as I'm getting older, the you know I need more sleep, and I'm not getting it, and I get obsessed over stuff. And then I think I'm about to go to sleep, and I'll start like writing some He-Man stuff for my video or filming something, and go up. Oh, now you're wide awake. Good luck to you. And unfortunately, that's what's been happening. So I was off, and I slept from like I don't know, like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., which is the worst thing you can do. It's good when I do like an accidental like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, cool, 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 cool. Even a 10 or a 15 in the middle of the day can just totally save the rest of your day. But wasn't the case. So I'm a little disoriented, and I'm on this new computer. I'm hoping my new mic is working. I know the computer's mic is working, but I don't want to lose the option to use my new mic because I don't know what other kind of wacky sound the computer's going to pick up, and I live in a noisy area. And I'm a little nasal. I'm trying not to yell because it is very late for me to be talking, and I don't want to be a dick to the neighbors. Um, so there we go. So, as dangerous as it is to be powerbombed through a table like Rey Mysterio was, as dangerous as it is for Kevin Owens to be backdropped over the top rope and crash through a metal ladder that's partially made of wood so it breaks, I don't know what's worse. Hitting the ladder, hitting the table, hitting the center of the squared circle, or falling over the top rope on the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. David Bowie's penis.